big progress in this video, so if you want to see how we got to that, stay tuned. And we'll even give a little sneak peek of the 315 DIY aquarium. It's been running, getting ready for its debut. And of course, even though we're doing all this building, doesn't mean we can forget about all our existing aquariums. So we're going to do a little bit of maintenance on the 750-gallon Amazonian Islands aquarium. Okay, as you can see, I've started building up the base, the sides of the base, all the way down the aquarium. But I wanted, before I go any further, so this very first row here, which is construction adhesive glued and screwed into all of the studs and into the base, this is the anchor for all the structure that we're going to be building up. So similar to the bottom, where we have the too high base that all the joists sit on top of and are screwed into, that's the base for those that ties in all that structure. Well, this is the base for all the structure above it. That's why it's important that that first row is screwed into all the joists beneath it. It ties it in to all of that structure we have underneath. Then, as you can see, I'm starting to build up multiple layers. There's actually going to be 4 layers built up like this on the bottom, stacked, and then 4 layers stacked on the top, and then in between will be the framing and the posts and the framing for the windows and everything. Another thing I just want to mention is that you'll notice that as each row goes on, it overlaps all of the seams from the row beneath it. So each time wood goes on, it gets placed in such a way that it covers the seams. So you see we're in the middle here, and there's empty space down here, but then the next board will start from the end and it'll go across those seams, tying them all together. And then the corners, you see all the corners will overlap. So you will have 4 levels of overlap on the top and 4 levels of overlap on the bottom. And then you'll have all the framing and posts and everything in between. So just wanted to point that out before I went any further, because it's easier to see when it's exposed like this. So now I'm going to build up 4 layers of this stacked wood, and then we'll start going straight up, and it's going to look like something then. Okay, so just because we're building a 4,500 gallon doesn't mean the rest of the fish basement doesn't keep cranking along. So even though we did lose Big Bubba from the 750 gallon Amazonian Islands, we still have a huge tank full of amazing fish here, and it's time for their 6-month water change. So what we're going to do for these guys is a couple things. So first of all, I'm going to lower down the power head down low to stir up everything on the bottom, so that when I'm doing the water change, I'm getting as much of the mulm and everything out of the aquarium as possible, as well as I'm going to elevate these lights some more. So we've had them in different positions before. We've recently brought them back down low, but I don't know what happened. I put a piece of pothos up there, and yeah, now I have a ton of pothos. So we're going to elevate them just a little bit more so that the pothos can do a little better. Right now they get close to the light, they get all destroyed by the light, so we'll give them a little more room. I think it'll still work as far as the aquarium goes, with the lights being a little higher, and it'll make it easier for the pothos. So do a little work on this while we're building the 4,500. So do you remember that big pile of wood over there? Yeah, it's gone. Obviously some of it's cut up over there and ready for some mass production of walls, but most of it is in the 33-foot base. You can see we have the base is built up. So these are the 3 layers. The 4th layer that makes up the bottom part is going to be attached to the framing walls. You'll see that here in a second. And here you can see the line where the filter is. So this is the wetland, and then the aquarium starts here, and it's basically going to be 4 sections with 7-foot. Again, I'm just rounding the numbers. The slightly over 7-foot long viewing windows, like 7 2 inches or something. So, at any rate, that's going to be the layout. So what's going to happen now is really exciting, because we start building up. So we're going to be building up the sides and the back of the aquarium, and then in the front we're going to be building posts in between where the glass panels are going to go, and then the actual framing for the glass panels is actually going to be inset into in between the posts. So the posts will stick in a little bit, and the windows will actually come out. So there's actually, the tank will be deeper every section where there's a window by a few inches, because the framing, like I said, will be inset in, and the glass, it face frames against it, so it'll make sense when you see it. But at any rate, you're going to see 4 really large, I think large viewing windows in the front, and then a big wetland filter over there. So I have a ton of vertical framing to do. So picture this little mound over here times probably like 10 or more. And obviously I'm out of wood, so I'm gonna go get more wood. I'm gonna start mass cutting and framing material. And then the 33 footer, 4,500 gallons starts building up. It's really gonna look like a tank once we get this framing in place. Things are getting exciting. All right, so you can see we got the sump pump in there doing its thing, and we got the power head stirring everything up, which is cool. Just looking at all the roots from the pothos coming down into that wood riverbank. That is just awesome. Very, very awesome. Loving that. All right, so it's gonna take a while for these guys, for this to drain out. So just thought I'd take a quick peek at these guys, and obviously we'll have to check back once 250 gallons has been pumped out. So I imagine these bloodworms will last all of 20 seconds. But it's fun to watch these guys ravage them, especially those trout dandio. Man, they are fast. They love those bloodworms. They're going nuts. But I did, gosh, I don't know, was it like 8 cubes or something? So plenty for everybody. And we know we have a massive cleanup crew, so there's no way there's going to be any leftovers, that's for sure. All of our rainbow sharks living happy together. I saw 6 clown loaches swimming in a pack the other day. That was pretty awesome. So even the rainbow is finally getting some size to them. That is pretty cool. And that's it. It's gone. All right, back to change your water. Well, like I was saying, I think you really notice a difference once we get to this stage of the build. This is huge. That should be the thumbnail. It's huge. Okay, let me show you what we got going here. So obviously we've done a bunch of framing, except for the front area here where the glass is going to go. We'll get to that in a second. And of course, as always, I make a few design changes as I go. So originally, the wetland filter, which is what you see happening over here, as you notice we have a piece going across the middle. So eventually there'll be a wall built up that won't be as high as the rest of the tank, so the water can cascade back in. So this was originally going to be a little shorter, and there was going to be another one under here. I was going to have like sort of the upper and lower part of the river, and these glass panels here were going to be not as tall. But the more I thought about it, I don't know, I guess I'm a sucker for symmetry or something, but I just wanted to have all the panels be the same height and actually the same width too. So we'll get to that in a second. So what I did was I increased the size of the wetland filter, brought it out more to compensate for that. So that brings us to the windows. Sorry, trying to get to where I can get somewhat of the whole thing in shot. It's pretty much impossible because it is so long. But at any rate, so now I'm going to start framing out the front where the windows are going to be. So there'll be a tie-in with each of the sides, and then there will be posts, and then framing inside of the posts for where the glass goes in. And of course, it'll all make sense once I build it and show it to you, but each one of those posts is also going to be an anchor point for the cross braces going front to back. So obviously on the top there'll be a few rows of tank where it'll be crossed over, overlapping, just like we did on the bottom. So that'll help tie it in at all of the corners. But obviously this tank is extremely long, so that's not enough. So there'll be big cross braces going across the top where each one of these posts are in between the glass windows. As well as the framing in between for where that holds the glass. That'll help, secure the posts and everything. But like always, like with the whole build, once all the pieces are connected, they become very, very strong. So, I mean, it's actually very strong right now, even though it's just anchored. It's not anywhere near complete, but it's heavy duty. So obviously we don't take any chances with something of this magnitude. So for the windows, the options here are 4 sections or 3 sections. And what it's going to actually come down to is what those lengths end up being. The reason being is if you go over an 8-foot window, it becomes custom. You have to, it's like you pay the same price as if you got 10 feet. And also the freight for that is different. You have to go to the freight center to get that. There's no way they'll ship that to your house. So we're gonna see how it goes. So basically, I'm gonna measure it out. I'm gonna build calculate the posts and the bracing, and then I'll measure out what size each window is, and then from there I'll make a call as to whether we're gonna have 3 big windows or 4. It's kind of leaning towards 4, probably will make more sense, but we'll see in a minute. At any rate, so we're ready for framing that out, and I'm gonna start working on that. And like I said, this tank is really coming along because, once I frame out the windows, put the top braces or put the top supports all the way around, basically recreating what we have on the bottom down here up on the top. Yeah, it's gonna be time to plywood sheath after that. Oh, and one thing I want to point out is when you have a really large fish, I mean, if anyone's watched my channel for a while, like the shark jumping out of, pushing his way through the top of predator bait and everything to get out, and peacock bass, when they hit, food, they hit it hard, and of course arowana are notorious, for that. You need to have area above the tank, inside the tank, but above the water line for those big bruisers to jump out a little bit and do their thing, because that's just what's going to happen, and you have to account for it. So you don't want that water line right at the top of the tank, right below the lids. So as well as there is going to be a massive riverbank in this tank with live plants and everything, so there's got to be room for that stuff to be accommodated as well. So the tank will be even taller than 4 feet, 4 feet of water, but the tank will be even taller to accommodate all those things I was just speaking about. So, all right, time for me to get back to building. All right, so we got 40% of the water down there. Just check these guys. Oh, the tetra always group up when there's some sort of disturbance, like a water change or whatever. So it's always cool to see those guys schooling. But I also like to show the above water, because the tank being 5 feet front to back, it's just so hard to appreciate that with the water, seeing depth through the water. So when part of it's drained down, it's cool to be able to see above the top and see all the way back there, all that root and all those, the wood root, and then all the roots from the plants coming down. That is just awesome. Well, as you can tell, I wasn't kidding when I said this thing is huge. Oh my gosh, let's take a closer look. All right, let's start over here at the filter end. So here's our wetland filter, and here are our 4 windows for the front of the river aquarium. All 33 feet, still going. To get my exercise, just going from one side of the tank to the other. Oh yes, that is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be one heck of a view, and perfect aquarium for peacock bass and arowana and Oscar, big catfish. They are gonna love this thing. So I think at this point, you have an idea of what the build is, the tank, what it's gonna look like. So we know we got the 4 windows, and we know it is incredibly long, and yeah, so like I said, things are definitely would be more noticeable in this part of the build. Once you start building up, it becomes very, 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 very impressive. You start to get the feel or the scope of the thing. And it's really crazy because as wide as it is, it's so long, it's like an optical illusion. It makes it look narrow, but it's actually very, very, very huge. Wow, that is a beast. So I think this is a good stopping point for this stage of the build. You can definitely see what's going on with the tank, the direction the tank is going. We've built up. It's really, really looking like something now. Obviously, I'll be framing out where the windows are, for the bracing for that. We got all the top bracing, the crossbar, all that stuff. Of course, we've got to skin the inside with the 3/4 inch plywood, fill all those screw holes, and then of course we start getting into fiberglassing, which used to be the part I hated, but now with the True Solids fiberglass stuff, it's really not that bad. So Still not great, but it's not as bad. But we'll get into that in the next video. So for now, this is good progress on the 33-foot, 4,500 gallon aquarium. This thing's gonna be awesome.